All right, we are live. I'm getting ready to mute everybody.
Okay.
Share screen. All right, I think we are just about ready to go. So as a just a point of, can everyone see that okay? Is it not, is it clear that okay, good. From right here, it's kind of blurry, but I'm looking at it sideways. So we are getting ready to begin our service. We have a number of ways that we can join in this evening, and I hope that you will join in as much as you are comfortable joining in our service. It's our custom to read along or sing along with everything. So as Teddy is leading us this evening, we're going to join together as much as possible. Also, I told him that you'd all be reading along with us, so don't make me look bad. I want to say as we start that I'm very excited for your family to be together right now as we're getting ready to celebrate the first step on Teddy's road to becoming bar mitzvah officially tomorrow. I know how much hard work he's put into this and all of the variables that have changed throughout this process and how much that kind of, has played a part in all of his preparation, that this day and tomorrow are going to be wonderful. They are going to ultimately be, I hope, a big relief for Teddy, because I know that he is ready. He said earlier, even he used the word confident. So whether or not he believes that himself at this particular moment, I know I am confident in you. So we are very happy to be celebrating with you. So we are going to begin. And as we do, just again, if you would like to use the slideshow in the sanctuary, you're welcome to. I'll be announcing page numbers for using our prayer books as well, if you'd like to follow along in the prayer book, if that is easier. And for everyone at home on Zoom, there's no need for y'all to have a prayer book if you don't need one. Again, you'll be seeing everything we do on the slideshow that I've shared with you. Just another note, as I invite everyone to rise, again, recognizing the spaces that we're in our own, if you're at home, or recognizing also differences of ability, that when I say please rise and please be seated, I'm inviting you to rise in body or in spirit. So I'm excited to get started, and we're going to begin on page 127. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. We're going to begin or sing together How Good It Is for All of Us to Be Together on page 128. A guitar pick. Oh, goodness. We have a case of the wandering guitar pick. It is okay. Got it. Got something. טוב ומנעים שבר אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שבר אחים גם יחד. הנה, הנה, הנה מה טוב ומנעים. אוי 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 שבר אחים גם יחד. שבר אחים אוי אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שבר אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שבר אחים גם יחד. הנה 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 מה טוב ומנעים. אוי 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 שבר אחים גם יחד. שבר אחים אוי אחים גם יחד. We'll continue on page 130, singing together the words of Psalm 95 and 96, Lehu Niranana. Lehu Niranana, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Ladonai, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Naharia, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Letzor Yisheinu, Yai Lai 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 Lai. Let us sing out to God, the maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Lehu Niranana, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Ladonai, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Naharia, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Letzor Yisheinu, Yai Lai 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 Lai. For all of the wonder and all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice. Lehu Niranana, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Ladonai, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Naharia, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Letzor Yisheinu, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Yai Lai 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 Lai. We'll continue welcoming Shabbat as we join together in singing the words of the poem Lecha Dodi. We'll join together, if you are following in the book, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And if you're looking at the slides, that's what you see in front of you. Page 138 in the books. And we'll join together as we reach the final verse of Lecha Dodi. I'll invite everyone to please rise as we face the entryway to welcome Shabbat like a bride or a queen. Ya la 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 Lecha Dodi, ya la 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 likrat kala, ya la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nikabela, shamor v'zachor, v'dibor echad. We're going to continue on page 142 as we welcome the ministering angels of peace to join us here to bring us hopefully a sense of Shabbat rest and peace for us. Page 142, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We'll continue back in our prayer books on page 120 as I invite Mike and Eve and Teddy and Ben to join me on the bima as we kindle the Shabbat lights. And if you at home have candles that you would like to light, you are welcome to light them with us as well. Oh, the candles, please. We can join together and say the blessing. Would not be a good look if you set it up. We'll sing together after. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Very nice, thank you. Teddy, you stay here. We are going to continue transitioning into the Shema and her blessings on page 144, beginning with Chatzi Kaddish. You ready?
Absolutely not.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, B'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'yomechon u'chayet yechol Beit Yisrael, bagala u'vizman kariv v'imiru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam maya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitman v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shemei kedusha brichu le'lam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amirim be'alma
V'miru. Amen.
We'll rise for our call to prayer on page 146. Please be seated. We'll continue on the top of page 149.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars, creator of the tide of time and light. You guide the current of day into night, as heaven spans to infinity. You set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Ma'ariv Aravim.
And we'll continue on page 151 at the bottom. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works in the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Israel. We'll rise together, turning to page 152 and 153 for Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. We'll continue on page 154.
Haftarah et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'chayu hadivarim ha'ele Asher Anochi Mitzavecha Hayom Alevavecha Bishinantam Livanecha Vidibarta Bam Bishiftecha Bivetecha Uflektecha Baderech Ufshochbecha Ufkumecha Ukshartam Laot Al Yadecha V'chayulatotafot beinenecha, ukshartam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha, leman tiskeru, batzitem et kol mitzvotai, v'chi kiddushim lelohechem, ani Adonai Elohechem. Asher Hiltei Etchem Meretz Mitzrayim V'hit Lachem Le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem.
We'll continue on page 159. Sing the
Song of men and women joined in understanding and respect. The song of God's miracles on earth protected and cherished. A gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of land once ravaged by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
We'll continue with Mi Chamocha on page 158, singing our song of our prayer of freedom and redemption.
Zachara uvanecha, okei ayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam, zei Eli anu ve'amru, zei Eli anu ve'amiru, Adonai lo le'olam ba'ed, Adonai lo le'olam ba'ed.
Continue on the top of page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us.
Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai,
Apores Sukat Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Amo Yisrael
Israel,
Ve'al Yerushalayim. We'll continue with our song for Shabbat on the top of page 162.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Beinu bein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריאת עולם.
כי ששת ימים
עשה
אדוני, עשה אדוני, את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת.
לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריאת עולם.
וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת.
לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריאת עולם.
We'll continue on page 164 as we rise together for tefillah, and we'll continue on even numbered pages. Please rise.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi dahi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Velohei avotei v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagipor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, Bechonei Hakol, V'zocher Asei Avot V'imachot, U'maitiv Livnei V'nechem, Le'aman Shemo Be'achava, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekin Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh Hakol Atara Le'Hoshia. Mechalel Chaim V'Chesed, Mechayeh Hakol V'Rachamim Rabim. Somech Noflim Beroches Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Mimi, Umechayeh, Umatziach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah la'achayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
Continue on the top of page 171.
Days passed and the years vanished, and we walked sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence like lightning illumines the darkness in which we talk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe in this place, and we did not know it.
Blessed is the eternal one, the holy God.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. You can also go. So I hope now that was a good warm up. You know what this feels like. I could hear you really well. Could you hear him? Yeah. I could even see you tapping along with some of the songs, which I didn't think you would feel like that. So I'm hoping that feeling carries over to tomorrow. But for now, take a deep breath. You're done. We're going to continue on page 173 at the top. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat. Continue with a prayer for Thanksgiving on the top of page 177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. We'll continue with our prayer for peace, Shalom Rav, on page 178. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu lechol hashalom, shalom rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et zamcha Yisrael, bechol עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. We'll take a moment now for our own quiet thoughts and prayers. Iyu leratzon imrei fi ve'hegyon libi lefanecha Adonai turi Adonai Imrei fi We devote the next few moments of our service to hold those in our lives, our loved ones and family members who are in need of a prayer of healing in our hearts. If there is anyone on Zoom who'd like to share the name of a loved one who's in need of a prayer of healing, feel free to write their names in the chat and I will read them aloud in a moment. And if there's anyone in the sanctuary who would like to mention someone, please feel free to say their name as I look your way. Lauren Trichik, Esther Greenwald, Steve Cook, Ursula Hartunian, Janet Madden, Charlie Guberman, Ward Becker, for all of our loved ones who are in need of a prayer of healing, we say, Baruch atah Adonai rofeh hacholim. Blessed is God who brings healing to those who need healing. We'll join together on page 371 as we continue with Misha Berach. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishevera imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone. I fought really hard about like what to say this evening because I was being impatient and I wanted to give what I'm going to say tomorrow night, tonight, and I'm not going to. So Teddy is actually going to be reading for us from a Torah portion that is not officially tied to this Shabbat, again, in part because of all of the changes that this year has thrown our way, and that is totally okay. But what I wanted to share this evening has to do with the Torah portion that is the Torah portion that congregations around the world will be reading from this Shabbat. It is from Parashat Balak. Balak in the Torah is identified as an evil, no good king who is trying to recruit a prophet named Balaam in order to curse the people of Israel. Most people know the story because of the more comical event that takes place where Balaam is walking along the way and he has his donkey saddled with him, and it just so happens that there is an invisible angel, at least to Balaam, and as he's hurrying the donkey along the way, the donkey refuses to go any further because the donkey can see the angel, but Balaam cannot. And so most people know this Torah portion for its famous detail of the talking donkey. Balaam's donkey refuses to go further. And when Balaam hits the donkey to try and encourage it to go, the donkey talks back, literally. So there is another well-known section of this Torah portion, namely the words that come out of Balaam's mouth as he is attempting to curse the people of Israel. Balaam, by the way, is identified by the rabbis in rabbinic tradition, in the Talmud and in other places, as being a prophet on par with Moses. He was, in fact, the rabbis claim that their prophetic abilities were equal. So Balaam was no shlemazel that was being recruited by the king. He really was the top-notch, like best prophet that you could buy. So when these words came out of his mouth, there was well, I'll tell you what the words were. They come normally as a part of the service. When you're entering a sanctuary, you say the words, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkanotecha Yisrael, which means how wonderful or how beautiful are your tents, your dwelling places, O Israel. And for the most part, rabbinic tradition, I would say probably 98% of the commentaries that you read talk about how this was God forcing God's hand in the story, and how Balaam was overcome and ultimately did the right thing, even though he was set to do something that was cursing the people. But what I have found interesting in the last couple of years, I came across a commentary from a rabbi. His name is Zalman Posner, who was a professor of rabbinics and a rabbi emeritus at a Chabad community in Nashville, Tennessee. And he said something very interesting in related to this idea, specifically that even though most of rabbinic commentary says that these words, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkanotecha Yisrael, are actually a blessing, proclaiming how beautiful the tents and the dwelling places of Israel were, he has this to say, or this is a summary of his idea. He says, in Parshat Balak, the king of Moab, we already went through this, Rabbi Posner asks, what did Balaam's prophecy really mean? And do we mean the same thing when we repeat his words in prayer? That's the question he's starting with. So Rabbi Posner ultimately comes to the conclusion that the blessing what we call Balaam's blessing can actually be a curse. That these words, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkanotecha Yisrael, can be deceptively evil. And what does he mean by that? He says, because his paeans of praise represents the antithesis of Israel's spirit. That is, the tone of Judaism, he argues, is growth, our desire to constantly advance, to ask questions, to seek what's new, and dig deeper into ideas. In the realm of the spirit and Torah learning and development of personal character, we're always looking to become better. Self-satisfaction, settling down, and this theme actually arises in a number of other Torah portions as well. The ideal that we would become complacent with the way things are is one of the greatest curses in Jewish tradition. So the curse of Balaam is that he's telling Israel that they're already good enough, that there's no need for them to continue their struggle for self or for communal betterment. But Rabbi Posner says that the goodliness of Jacob's tent are not, in fact, a reality. He argues that these words shouldn't be, when we say them, when we enter our sanctuary, they shouldn't be an acknowledgement of the greatness of our community, but rather something that we strive to achieve. That is something that is creating a place, and this is where it ties into what you'll be reading tomorrow, Teddy, that we are creating a place when we walk into our sanctuaries, as you're going to be reading from the part of the Torah that actually talks about the building of the Mishkan, of the sanctuary, that we are building a place that is constantly striving to be better for our own spiritual sake, but also creating a place that has the kind of moral mindset where we're seeking to do better for the people in our community as well. So according to Posner's reading, Balaam was telling Israel that they were good enough already. There's no need to be any better. He wished to subdue Israel's urge to strive to prevent their future progress. But Balaam knew well that the human soul never stands still. We are not the same today as we were yesterday, and either we go up or we inevitably go down. Balaam wanted Israel to believe that they had reached their peak, that it was okay for them to rest, and his intention were for Israel to look at their glory, the glory of the tent that they had just built, and be satisfied with, and with that to lose any momentum that Israel would have and then ultimately fall to the king Balak. But when we read and sing Matovu, when we come into a sanctuary, into a synagogue, we should always say, "How glorious are your tents, O Jacob." Or we shouldn't be saying, "How glorious are your tents, O Jacob." We should be asking how great they could be, how great we could be if we always are a little bit unsatisfied. Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to re-share my screen, and I'm going to invite everyone to please rise for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vigoralenu kechol hamonam, vanachnu korim, Umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Please be seated. We'll continue on the page 591. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad ushemo echad. We take the next few moments of our service to honor the memories of those who we have loved and lost, holding in our hearts those for whom this Shabbat is a yahrzeit or an anniversary of their passing. Alexander Donner, Esther Tarnoff, Hannah Sachs, James Gantz, Martin Blunkin, Ruth Leff, and Robert Rovner. If there are loved ones you would like to add their name to our saying of Kaddish, please, if you would type their name in the chat, I'll read them in a moment. And if there are any loved ones you're holding in your hearts at this time that you'd like to say their name for Kaddish, please feel free. Whoops. There we go. Right. We say Zichronam Livracha. May the memories of our loved ones who have come before us always be a blessing. We'll join together in reciting Mourner's Kaddish as we rise and turn to page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon u'vyom echon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mivarach le'olam u'omei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitale, v'yithalal, shmei de kedusha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates peace in the heavens on high bring peace to us here on earth, to all of Israel and all inhabitants of our planet. And may God send comfort to all those who are mourning. Together we say, Amen. Please be seated. We have just a couple of announcements. The first is the choir officially begins our rehearsals for the high holidays this coming Sunday, and we are also looking for new members. So if you love to sing and would like to join us for singing in the High Holidays Choir, you can see Laura Becker's email address on the slide in front of you. Or if you know someone in our community who would like to sing, you could sign them up also. I didn't take my first music lesson until my roommate signed me up to meet with a choir director. You can do the same thing. Let's see. The next is that our Music on Sundays series, concert series, is going to be returning for 2022. The neon lights are bright on Broadway, and so we're bringing our music series back to the Temple of Israel. So we have an abbreviated season. There will be 3 diverse musical concert experiences, and you should find more information about what these musical experiences are and the exact dates in our July bulletin. So keep your eyes peeled. That's all I have for right now. We're going to join together in saying Kiddush and a blessing for our kids and Motzi, and then we're going to conclude our service. So first, if anyone has anything to say Kiddush at home, you should get it now. We'll join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen l'chaim. And blessing for our children. Teddy, officially, this is your last time that your parents can bless you as a non-adult member of the people of Israel. They will probably always bless you as their child, but as a child among the children of Israel, this will not apply to you anymore after tonight. So we say, Yisimcha Elohim ki Ephraim v'chi Menashe. May you be like the sons of Joseph, Ephraim, and Manasseh. Yesimech Elohim Kesara Rivka Rachel B'Leah. May you be blessed like the mothers of our people, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. We wish for all of our children to be blessed with the feelings of being proud of who they are and always striving to be the best version of themselves. With these words of blessing from our Torah. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God's light shine on you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's presence always feel near to you, and may you always be blessed with the most important gifts of wholeness and peace. Amen. And we have a very nice challah here this evening to say Motzi over. I will hold it up for everyone to see. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Take a little piece now. And we are going to conclude our service singing Oseh Shalom, prayer for peace. And then I'll unmute everyone on Zoom to say hello. And we're going to actually have an oneg in the building, which is exciting. Bless you. I found the guitar pick and I lost it again. Goodness gracious. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I am unmuting.